What's up, guys? Welcome to another TCG Scrubs podcast. I'm Oscar, and we got no Joe this week, but we do have a call-in.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. And as usual, everything that we do here is brought together by our patrons over at patreon.com/TCG Scrubs. You guys like to become a patron, help us upgrade some equipment. I have a cool soundboard that one of our patrons, Hooflung, sent over that I'd love to start using. Trying to save up for that microphone, but we did send Colin to Minnesota. So for those of you going to Minnesota who want to see Colin, you can visit him there. He'll be there all 2 days, but
I'll be helping commentate. I'm going to walk around and film and interview people. So hopefully some people are around to interview.
Yeah.
And it should be a lot of fun. I'm pretty excited for it, actually. And I'm going to be there. The first time I'll be there a little bit early. Usually I get there and gotta leave early and stuff like that. And this time I got actually cushion time, so it's going to be a lot more chill for me this time. So I'm pretty excited about that. Going to go around and interview people, film the floor. Maybe if I have time, do some other side projects, and then do some commentating, and just hang out and see what cool places there are to eat.
So yeah, if you have any recommendations for the Northfield area, let him know so you can go try it out. And make sure to say hi to him if you see him. I'm sure he'll be wandering around aimlessly without me.
Probably.
Also, everything is also brought to us by Happy Little Hook Factory. If you guys want to visit them, link in the description below helps them know that we sent you over. You can go over and pre-order the new set, Awakening of the Ancients, which we've been seeing little cards being spoiled here and there. We were going to be doing our spoilers once per week as opposed to like every night, since this is a weird sporadic method they're using to share these spoilers this go around. And yeah, you can pre-order the new set, $80. You can also pick up some Caster Chronicles if you guys are interested in that. I think they're out of the starter decks, but they are in back order, so it's kind of like how'd that work?
They'll be getting, they're for sure getting more starter decks in. So if you want to guarantee to get them in, you have to sign up for the back order. And they've got booster box left still. Since that has not actually officially come out yet. It comes out at the end of the month.
There you go. Again, visit the link in the description below so they know we sent you over, and they have singles as well as a buy list you can check out. And yeah, are we mentioning this third one yet? Like
yeah,
the video. That's right.
If you guys missed it, we're also brought to you by DKP Accessories, and we'll actually talk about that a little bit later in the podcast. But their link is in the description as well, but we'll have more info about them later on.
All right, one last housekeeping thing before we get started on the podcast. I think we have a giveaway to talk about, as well as one to announce. So for those of you who missed last week's podcast, we got how many starter decks? One of each color, or one red, one white?
No, we got one red, green, one blue. And so last week we did the red giveaway, and if you guys missed it, we're giving away one star deck each week on the podcast, so 3 weeks total. And there'll only be one winner per, as far as like, you can't win twice in a row. So if there's a certain color you want to go for, you might want to wait and enter that giveaway. But if you're like me, I would just enter to all of them just because of odds. But if you like really don't want a red star deck, you wouldn't enter in the red one and so forth.
And these are the new Valhalla starter decks. So these are the ones that are hard for people to get a hold of. And Happy Little Hook Factory was awesome enough to send them over to us so we can give them away to you guys. And so for those of you who can't get a hold of them, there you go. So the red one, we're doing a giveaway, and who's winning this one?
A little bit of package damage. Didn't damage the cards, just the cardboard's a little wonky, just as a heads up. But let me draw it right now. Winners to draw. One. Boop, 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 boop. Winner is Greg Hansen. Greg Hansen. Oh, he's in Texas. Oh, cool. Awesome. I don't know what the name of that place is. I'll ask Oscar later what that place is. But I'll go ahead and thank you. I'll email you at the email you put in here. And so if you're watching this and haven't replied, make sure to check your email. He won with the entry of visiting us on Facebook, our TCG Scrubs Facebook page. So if you're curious which one of your entries actually got you in, it was that one. So yeah, I'll send you an email later, but congratulations, you got the red starter deck. For this next one, we are going to do the blue one. So this is the one that has Machines and Loki. Loki is the one that Also ran machines in Ryan's deck at one of the GPs. So all machines all day, but Loki I think is getting support potentially in this set.
Some cool stuff
yeah, so some cool stuff. Obviously, I love machines, and this has a ton of machine stuff that I use. So make sure if you like that to enter in. The link is in the description below. Click on it. There's a couple different ways to enter, so make sure you do however many you want. And you have until Sunday. This one accidentally ended on Saturday, but I'll try and do it right this time. It'll end on Sunday, and then we'll announce the winner. You know, yeah. So thanks to Apple Hug Factor for that giveaway.
All right, and so we had a pretty slow week personally. You played Wander last week. We already kind of covered that.
Slow news week, not a slow week for us.
Well, yeah, slow news week. But April, was it April promos were announced? Was it April? Yeah, it's April. And that was the two new stones. Was it White Stone and Blue Stone, right?
I believe so.
You told me about this one.
Yeah, and the if you guys don't know, is what we thought might be European exclusive stones from a while back, and it looks like they're just repurposing them for the monthly promos, which is cool to at least get a hold of them, because they are cool looking and they're basic stones, which is relevant for this format and stuff. So yeah.
Well, I feel I read a lot of the comments people leave on various pages, and I kind of understand where people are coming from, but I'm starting to think about it like. Last year with the dual stones, there were the European promos. They're only given away at GPs for prizing for, I think, top 8, right? They got a couple stones. But then side events on day 2 were able to win stones. You could win like one of each stone or something like that. Or some of it was guaranteed. Here's some stones and you get double if you win or something. Or you could just straight up buy them. But what I was noticing is like if they had done like those European promos, the way they're doing these, like a lot more people would get them on their hands. They wouldn't probably be as expensive as they are. As a result, I don't think these would be as expensive either. And I'm wondering.
I was gonna say I disagree slightly on that part.
Yeah, and I'm wondering because a lot of us who are in the U.S. see Europe, whose promos for March and April are actual cards. They're getting like Azazel and that cat, as well as Donut Drone and Air. But we haven't seen that. I'm wondering if they're going to give these stones away free as promos first, and then be like, cool, that next month that would have ended up how it turns out is like boom, there's Donut Drone and Air. Here's the other ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, no, it's a good point of like. It's hard to figure out what they're doing with the promo situation. The coordination, both not even with that, but even with stuff like spoiler reveals is like varying region to region. It's not simultaneous, and so the promos look like physically nothing simultaneous. So I'm kind of confused on like how all this is exactly working. I'm having a hard time keeping up with.
It's like
what is going on where.
They did Italy did 3, and then the English page was like, oh, sorry, here's promos. Boom, we had 4, like 1 extra. And then the next day is like, okay, cool. I guess we're doing like 3 or 4 a day. And the next day it happens like, here's 1. It's like, oh, okay, we're just doing 1. And then it's like, here's another 1 the next day. And then like, there's even a point where it was like, here it is in Spanish or Italian, or whatever. Here it is in a French version. And then like 3 days later, like the US page is like, oh yeah, here's those promos from a few days ago, and you get all the English versions all of a sudden. It's very unusual the way it's just.
Yeah, and there's a random day I think where there was 2 instead of 1 or 4 or whatever.
Yeah, and the next day there's 1, and the next day there's 3. It's like it's very interesting.
It's like someone, I don't know, because I don't think Jeff was in charge of that, but among the people that were let go, they must have let go whoever the heck knows how to just press submit at the same time for everywhere. Whoever knows how to press a button at the same time as another button was let go.
There's a difference here. Real quick, I want to backtrack. Is like at least the 2-a-day, 3-a-day thing, they're working together. Like the 2 red cards worked together. The 3 green cards all worked together type of thing. It's not like 3 random cards. And also, it's not one person running every country's website. Each country's running their own website. What I think it is but nobody got the memo of, hey, every day at this time zone, that's when we'll release them. That's, I think, the only thing missing right now.
Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but the point is, it's a super simple and easy just to have them all released at the same time and coordinate correctly. And so it feels like more of a headache to not do that for everyone involved. So I just found it weird that it's like, all right, let me just Google time zones. Okay, everyone, you release it here, you release it here, you release it here. Yeah. Or just tell everyone to release it at this time, Japanese time, and let them figure it out. And then you send them out, and it just seems weird. And then on top of that, it's like inconsistent because like the one day where it's like, oh, look at these 3 cards in another language. Oh, here they are in English, and there's a 4th card that was not in the other language. Like it wasn't even like the same cards that were being split. It's weird.
Yeah, no, I even saw Taiwan was like, here's your card for the day, and here's another card, and it's like a card that was for today that everybody got, and a card from like 4 days ago. I'm like, weird.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on there, but whoever was in charge of that is obviously no longer there.
Yeah, and there used to be a pretty active page. Their Japanese Twitter page used to be like used all the time, and now it's not used at all. So I've been trying to share all the spoiler cards when they're released in English on our Twitter at least, so you can check that out at TCG Scrubs. And yeah, so whenever they post in English, I wait for a batch of like 3 to 4, and I'll post them all. So it's kind of the best way to check them out there if you guys don't use Facebook. And then if not, beyond that, every Monday, it seems, we'll be recording our spoiler video to release that out so you can see the latest cards that we've seen.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff,
real quick, huh? Backtracking to what you said. Yeah, I don't, on the basic stone promos, I don't think they'll be expensive as the dual stones, but I do think they will retain decent value because you don't need 4 of them. If you're running a basic stone deck, you probably are running 8, minimum of 6, possibly 8, possibly 10, depending on the deck. For collection reasons, like I would want 10. That's what I did with the other single stone promos, the caster ones, the darkness and red. I have 10 of each. So I feel like it's going to be similar to that. So because you're doubling the quantity at minimum on an average, I think that'll help offset the wider distribution will be offset by the higher demand, because also more people are going to want them because more people use them than the specific dual stones, and then more people will want them because they'll be cheaper at first, which will help drive the market a little bit more expensive. So I don't think they'll be as expensive as dual stones, but I think they'll be definitely on the much higher side of the normal price we see for promo cards, monthly promo cards.
Yeah,
we got on a little bit of tangent there, so I just wanted to get back to that.
I get that. Yeah, I feel like since it's getting released as a promo, it'd be cheaper. Although some people are having difficulty getting promos, and like we haven't gotten any, but we also haven't used TCG Meister at all, which it's just an issue with us getting our shop owner at the store when one of her newer employees are there to enter the code so they can use that software. Is what it sounds like it's coming down to. And then once we get that going, we'll report back here and we'll let you know how long it took to get promos. Because I'm wondering if we did one this week, being like this Saturday coming up, just pretend, and then every week after that, at what point are we sent promos? Like, are they immediately going to send them for the month of or the next month and all this other stuff? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it sucks because like ideally you would have someone out here who has sort of building sort of a relationship in the U.S. with various local stores. Obviously, I wouldn't know all of them, but you get an idea of some of them, especially if you have ideal players like Jeremy at his or something like that. If they're so you have contact of like, oh, they're having trouble using TCG Meister, or I'm sure there's locals who are like, no, we don't want to use that, but they have consistent locals. You can have a direct line to the company of like, listen, is there something I could do that we're not using TCG Meister? Let me just send you pictures of us playing. Let me send you tournament results from what we're using at least, or some workaround for us to use TCG Meister even though we're not a store, stuff like that. And so I feel like it's without that communication, TCG Meister was fine before because we had this constant communication with Rob and kind of sort of Jeff, but he's just mostly redirected with Rob running that, and without that it's just sort of all left up to getting your locals to run it. And if you forget to run it, or another employee is there who doesn't know how to use it, like what's happening with us, then we might just not get promos just because of that, which kind of sucks. But
and our store is always out of town, but she was out of town this weekend, so that's I think what it came down to, right? Because she wasn't there.
Yeah, I feel like a good system would be to send promos directly to stores that sign up, just a regular sign up, not using TCG Meister. You send those promos, but it's a small, very small quantity, and the quantity goes up based on the reports from TCG Meister. So just by using it, your quantity goes up, and then the amount of players you have, it goes up in dividends from there, because that can all be calculated through TCG Meister. But you have that guaranteed minimum just by saying, I'm a store that runs Force of Will, you can see because I'm buying from my distributor type of thing. And I feel like that'd be better. That way we can at least guarantee we're getting promos while we're trying to get TCG Meister up and running and stuff like that.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, the way it's working is it is if you're using the application, you're getting like X promos, but when they look at your activity and how many players are playing, they'll determine that they're going to send you more beyond the normal amount. So
yeah,
I agree. I think that they should just be sending it out. There's people who are, pretty upset with it, and they want it to be sent back to distributors, which I understand. We were in a boat where we still weren't seeing promos when it went to distributors, so it's like I don't even know anymore where to hold an opinion on this, if I want it at distributors or I want to keep it the way it is. I do miss the way it was just a few months ago, where it was just Rob sending them out to stores who had contacted him, and we'll see how it goes from here.
It was the golden 2 months of whoa, we got promos, this is great, we're droning in promos.
Oh, yeah, it was going great. It was amazing. And
our shop owner was like, oh, look at all these promos. I got, guys, here you go, thanks for playing. It was great.
I don't know how you handled promos last time because I wasn't there, but the time before that I was like, cool, you know what, everybody gets one new promo, take 2 Wanderer promos, and it's all the old promos that our stores had over the years.
Well, we just have old promos, and we have some older ones, and so this last time I think it was everyone just get pick 4 promos, just any 4 promos, and so did all
the new stuff go, or did you set a rule for new versus old?
No, it's just take whatever, and there's still new stuff left because a lot of them are newer and they like the older cards, so they're just grabbing what's a good. Surprisingly, the one that went the most was that promo Valhalla card that I had grabbed last time, but and I waited till last and I just grabbed some random ones. But and the Magic Stone of the Dark Castle, I believe that one. I think someone just grabbed 4 of those, place out of those. Which is cool. We still got a ton of promos because a bunch of old ones she got from her distributor when distributors were all fudged up on how they did promos.
I'm so sad I missed out on that Wanderer tournament because I had that deck ready, which we didn't even play this weekend. We just played Transformers the whole time.
Yeah, to be fair, that was all you, but that was still pretty fun. Oscar's on to Transformers.
I am. It was funny because we had one of our locals who was looking for a job, so I got him a job with us where we work. So now he works with us. And I was like, cool, this is great, because he hadn't played Force of Will in so long that he would just get right back into it. And he did. He kind of goes every weekend. And then on the opposite end, he was like, hey, guys, you heard about Transformers? And I was like, yeah, we kind of looked into it. It's okay. And then he got so into it, and he's buying all these booster boxes. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll get that Devastator demo deck. And, yeah, I got really into it. That Devastator deck is pretty cool. And then they're introducing, what is it? Is it... I forget the term. Is it micro machines, microns? What is it?
Isn't it minicons?
Minicons? Okay, the tiny Transformers, and they're actually tiny cards. So if you
we got if
you're not familiar with Transformers, you have regular size cards for their battle cards. They have the character cards, which are oversized. It's like Time Spinning Witch unfolded, essentially, right? And then they introduced the combiners, which are actual opening cards. So they look like a normal size card, like Time Spinning Witch, and then open up, and you play with 6 of them or 5 of them, and they create a big transformer on the backside. So they have like a car mode, an alt mode, and then a big bot mode. And then they had
it formed like a puzzle.
They had the one that you have. Who do you have again?
Metroplex, which is a giant card.
Yeah, it's like a giant 5x7 essentially, or 9x10. And then now they're introducing the mini cards, which are smaller than your standard cards, which is a cool concept, because if you guys are familiar with the lore and all that of Transformers, is they were tiny cars that would turn into weapons, and so these are character cards that are in the field, and when they die, they don't flip, they just die, and instead of dying, they attach to one of your character cards as a weapon. It's like one's a hammer and one's a sword type of thing.
I laughed at the one that's a hammer because it's like, okay, I'm a hammer. What are we going to do? Ow! Ow! Ow!
Yeah. So I'm kind of pumped on that. It's ending up pretty cool. Like I told Colin early on when we did that first demo, I was like, this is kind of cool. It's missing a bit. I want to see it go somewhere, and it's finally getting there. Like they've introduced different color pits and everything.
It feels like what a physical card game Transformers would now, because like Oscar was going, you got cards that unfold, flip over, transform, big cards, giant cards, tiny cards, cards that don't flip, cards that die, cards that reattach as weapons, cards that flip over and form a giant robot. Like you have this whole like wide field of all these different themes, and I feel like they're using all the different themes that card games have been able to make. Like Oscar said, mini cards, flipping cards, unfolding cards, that giant cards, and they're putting it all into one game, which so it feels very much like you're playing Transformers, the card game. Like it has that feel when you're playing it.
Yeah, and they're introducing a new mechanic to it that led me and Colin to spark a conversation on standby, and they're essentially bringing their own standby into the game. And I forget if it's secret missions, secret orders, or something like that. And it's pretty much cards that you put into a secret area face down that are probably going to have a trigger, I'm assuming, because they also have a on it. They say that they only last till the end of your opponent's turn, and you scrap them. So they don't even last forever. They have a small window of a trigger type of thing. So I was telling Colin, I was like, that could be a method of like balancing like standbys, like to give it a time period. This card's in your standby area until the end of your opponent's turn or something like that.
Yeah, and I said that no.
That's exactly what he said. That's it. That's what he left it at.
I said I don't think that would work in Force of Will because 2 cost for a card that potentially would just die would it be good, and the cards that would be worth that everyone would know about and be easy to play around, and would it be worth the 2 because you'd be throwing away 2 will in a card after it died after the end of your opponent's turn, so there's no advantage of doing it really that I could think of outside of an automatic trigger resonator. If they brought back standby resonators, then maybe you could get your money's worth, but I feel like the resonator, because it's in a standby and coming in on your opponent's turn, would not be as strong as a 2-cost regular resonator would be, so I still wouldn't think it's worth it. Yeah. But
I would like to get Jeff back at some point, and when he's able to talk about what his notes were, because he had a way to bring it back, and I'm really curious.
We'll have to wait for the first set of the next cluster,
yeah.
See if they took any of his notes or not. Or we should just have Jeff on to talk about just these mechanic conversations and stuff.
But if you guys had like a method that you think that could end up balanced, that's kind of why I wanted to bring this up, was to see what y'all's opinion were on this. Like, in what way do you feel you could balance the standby area better? Because keep in mind you have chance with the trigger option on it, that trigger. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what standby was, it's like it was a 2-cost card with a trigger. And when the trigger was met, you'd flip the card over. Chance had to actually wait an entire turn until they could be triggered. So if I put down a card that was a chant that needed to be triggered, I couldn't trigger it until, say, Colin's turn started. But resonators who had the trigger, which were called stealth, they could be triggered immediately. So I can actually pay 2, put a card down, and immediately trigger it out. So let us know, in your opinion, what you think. What would balance that a little bit better? Because I do miss it. One of my favorite rulers is just Kaguya 1, Seer of the Blue Moon. She reduced the cost to 1, so like a 1-cost standby. And of course, one of the fun decks to run with that is just a Croco Shark deck, because you're just throwing out Croco Sharks everywhere. But,
yeah. So we were going to have the conversation of, like, in addition to standby, what other mechanics could we see come back, or would want to come back? What might not work or would work in the next set? Because, like I said, Jeff was potentially looking at a version of standby coming back, and I think he had mentioned looking at another mechanic to come back. I don't remember exactly. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that, like, there was a card that was spoiled, and I was like, that ability could have just been set as a seal parentheses Firestone. Why didn't they use it? They have the ability that explains this ability. Instead, they just generically wrote it. So I thought that was weird.
Which, I want to comment on that. That was hilarious. That you and I translate that card And then we posted it in the global group, and it was just like, nope, doesn't care about the kind of stone. It's just a stone. I'm like, weird. I don't know a ton of Spanish, but that says fuego, which is fire.
I never took Spanish in my life. I don't know any Spanish other than like tortilla, and I knew I was like, both. I don't know if I've heard it, but I feel like I'm decent in other languages, because languages use same base roots and stuff like that for a lot of, so you can see what languages were derivative of others. So fuego, I was like, that's fire. I know that's fire just by looking at it. And so they had that conversation. They're like, oh no. I was like, I know it's fire. I don't know anything, and I know that's fire. And like I said, he actually knew it was fire, because he knows like I think three or four words in Spanish.
I took a couple years of Spanish, and then I didn't grow up speaking it, but I can identify words in there. If it goes too fast, speaking wise, I can't pick it up. But when it comes to reading it, I can catch words here and there. And seeing fire magic stone, though, I automatically knew what that said.
Yeah, but it was weird not to see Seal on that. But yeah, so I figured we'd talk about some of that.
Yeah, so
Jeff, if you have any input, let us know below.
Jeff said, I don't listen to this anymore. I'm not doing what I used to do, Global Liaison.
I only listen to you guys because it was my job. Also, wait, what are we, Oscar? What was the quote that I said we need a quote about us having like ins?
Oh yeah. Shout out to Game Squared. I listened to their podcast, and one of their most recent ones for Quickcast podcast was he's like, TCG Scrubs covered this video, because they got the inside information. They have that underground or whatever it's called. They're on the know, which that was hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of. I guess it's funny because majority of the information we get, like some of it's like a lot of it was talking to Rob and stuff. Most of it was just me like sitting there talking to Rob, talking to Oscar, like, hey Oscar, how's it going? And also just like boop boop of just random messages coming to me from different people. I'm like, oh, I guess this is information new to me. Maybe I'll do something with that, because like I mentioned before, there's a lot of information, and I don't want to communicate it until I can confirm it fully. Like I basically pseudo confirmed it, but I just there's like some tiny things I want to get right before making videos. So maybe in a couple weeks I'll come out with a follow-up video once everything's sort of died down, because this stuff isn't about the US group necessarily, it's just about Forcible. But
shout out to those guys funny. Again for cracking me up. If you guys look for another podcast, you have Game Squared, who are doing their podcast, their Quickcast podcast, every 2 weeks. Geektopia, which is what's stuck in my head here, they just started doing podcasts. You can check them out. And of course, Ruler School, who does a weekly live podcast. I believe they skipped this week's, which this is Tuesday's podcast, so they didn't have one yesterday. But make sure to check all those out in case we're not what you're looking for or not enough for
get lots of intake.
Yeah.
Real quick before we move on to the subject, we'll get to our second sponsor, our new sponsor to the channel.
Oh yeah.
If you guys missed it, we did a video yesterday with box opening and sort of a quick overview of this product, like I said, from DKP Accessories. They currently just have this one product that they recently came out with in the past couple months, and I got it right here. Look at this box. And so basically, let me pop it. I don't know if I'll fully, yeah, I guess I can assemble it. So it's sort of this very light plastic, and you put it all together. If you want to talk about it, Oscar, while I put it together. Boop.
Yeah, so we covered it briefly in the video we want to introduce it in. We're going to do like a comprehensive review of this. Going to use it a lot as much as we can, especially outside. This is designed to be played with outdoors in the windy environment because it utilizes magnets to keep your cards down. So the entire play area where the picture is actually has magnets. If you look,
put the picture on backwards.
I'll make Colin's image maybe full screen for this part right here. about 30 minutes into this. I'll try to remember that. And there's little divots here and there, and that's where magnets are hidden underneath the images. And then they send you very thin, like bendable magnets. I don't have them on me. Colin has them there too, which you're supposed to put into the same sleeve as your cards. So if your sleeves are snug as it is, this is not going to fit. I use Dragon Shield for most of my sleeves, and it seems perfectly fine. And what you're going to do is you're going to slip them in.
They work fine on my monster sleeves. They work fine on those as well.
What you do is you'll slip it in right behind your card. So there is going to be something in there with your card. And then it makes it to where it just sticks to the board. And it's designed, again, so that you're playing outside, it's windy, your cards just don't blow around everywhere. Now, I don't know if that's something that many of you have issues with, but I thought it was pretty neat that you can take this now just anywhere. There's been a couple smaller situations where we had it, and where we're in a situation where we're playing outside, and it's like, well, we could have played now, or we could have played here, but we couldn't. This kind of makes it to where it's like, kind of like that. And this is kind of a first or second like iteration of this actual product. So there's definitely things like I noticed that could be improved, and I hope that they take note of, and you guys give feedback. If you're interested in buying it, you can also visit the link in the description below, and it sends them over to the shop so you can pick one up. But like little rubber stoppers, because if you're on a table, like an actual, like let's say your LGS uses those plastic tables that a lot of LGSs use, it kind of does slide around a bit. So it could use something to help keep it into place. But
and you guys can always just go to, in the meantime, like Walmart, they have the little tiny round rubber stamps you can put on there for like $1 or whatever in the meantime, which would work fine. But go ahead.
But this is the early stages of a brand new company, and you guys can help us, catch eye of this, or catch wind of, what you want to call it, and really get it out there, and maybe they can start developing some really cool stuff. Like I told Colin, a bigger version of this would be neat, because one of the cool points is, like, you go play your LGS, it's easier just to pick this entire thing up and move on and put it down.
That was else. One of the things I was thinking, because you got this nice little storage area. Right now it would fit, your decks, but like when you got to lift it up and go to another person, it's super easy, because not only is it flat and plastic, but it's also magnetic, so none of your cards are falling off. You can literally just pick this up if someone's like, oh, emergency, everyone's got to shift to a new table middle of the game. You're the guy who can just pick this up and move over and not worry. But yeah,
which we've had that, as weird as that sounds, where it's like you're 3 or 4 turns into the game, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Force of Will players, you weren't. I guess you shouldn't have sat you there. You go sit 10 tables back because Magic Seal Draft or whatever they're doing is about to happen. Okay, move. And so we have to hurry up and shuffle over.
So it's and it's super easy for me, who has trouble rolling up playmats. This is actually easier for me to take apart and store than a rubber playmat. So I might use this more, because it's, like I said, this is super light. It's all magnetic, so you just put the pieces back in and they hold together, and you just give a tiny little push and they fall back out. So it's easy to put in your backpack or carry around, and take to your locals or take outside. Like you said, like my perfect scenario was going to a park that has Pokemon Go stops and swinging for Pokemon Go with a lure while you're playing Force of Will or something like that. It's a good size for Transformers. The only downside would be Force of Will might have a little trouble with the Rune deck. Although, I mean, it's still doable. It's just going to be a little bit tight space-wise.
Yeah.
But it's nothing too crazy. But I really like it. Very satisfying to put cards down on it, also with the magnets.
Yeah, no, I like slapping them down. It's pretty great. Also, I just like how tough your life is, Colin. I can't roll mats. Your life is so hard.
No, I'm saying for someone like me, that's actually easier and quicker for you guys. Saw me on video. I just went click, 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 boonk. For Matt, I'm like, roll. Okay, I rolled that wrong. Roll. Oh, now it hit the side of the tube and made it go voomp. That weird voomp it does.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with playbats for whatever reason. But yeah, like I said, link in the description below. Right under Happy Little Hook Factory, you click that link, lets them know we sent you over, and it's an awesome product for a new up-and-coming company. Give them lots of support and support this product, and they'll hopefully have some more cool stuff. They'll be getting in the product itself comes 120 magnets for inside the sleeves. They'll have replacements that you can buy on there for relatively cheap as well in the future. And yeah, so he's a really cool guy I was talking to. So yeah, that's our. It'll be shorter spiels in the future, but since this is new, I want to you guys to know what's going on with it.
For international listeners or viewers, there isn't an option on the website right now for you to purchase, but you can contact the company via email on their website, and I can actually set you up with that if you're looking to buy it as well.
Yeah. All right. So mechanics we want to see.
So Incarnation. I missed that. Yeah, that was great. Like, just cool. I'm gonna incarnate Adam Brawley for a red and a green.
For people who don't know, since that's an old mechanic.
Yeah, it essentially was like a resonator who had to incarnate, say, red, meant that you had to sacrifice or ban it or destroy a red resonator from play to put this into play instead of paying its cost.
That you control.
And yeah, that you control. Well, that's why I think it was banish, because banish is only yourself. But
yeah, you said banish or destroy, and I was like, why'd you read that second part?
I was searching for the word, and I caught it after a while. But Adam Brawley had one where it's like you could do 2 resonators, so it's like any combination of like any 2 colors. But you had he was probably the on the deeper end of like why they probably got rid of the mechanic. But because he had multiple abilities, like, oh, did you do a white and a black? It's like, cool, you gain life, your opponent loses life. Or red did 200 or 300 damage, and then blue drew a card, green produced a will of any color, I think it was. But anyways, it was just a mechanic where it was a way to bypass the cost of cards. Like, oh, does that card cost you, 4 to cast? Well, hey, just incarnate 2 red resonators instead.
Well, and it was a great way to transition to mid and late game, because you would bring out, say, Adam Brawley or another resonator with higher stats, and it's a good way if you want to spend will on something else, another big resonator or a big spell, and then you use your weak resonators that aren't as useful anymore from early turn 1 and turn 2, and you incarnate off of those to put them into the field, or use Rook Egg to get Rook Egg's effect, stuff like that, and really maximize the potential. And it's a way to transition into mid and then transition into late game in a sense, while not spending a crap ton of will on it.
I don't think that this mechanic needs any actual balancing. I just think it's the cards within its cluster. I think it's what needs to be careful, because what made this crazy are things like within its cluster. I'm gonna look at within its cluster is Rook Egg. Rook Egg was a 1-cost red resonator who, when it went to graveyard, search for a red resonator and put it into your hand. So at the cost of sacrificing 2 Rook Eggs, you got a Cthulhu into play or something like that. So there's other cards too. Every color kind of had something that maybe threw this into the more crazier area of things. Some of it was outside the cluster, like was it the monkey? What was his name? Monkey Trapped or Madness or something like that. The one that went to the grave pinged you for like 1 or 2 and then went back to your hand.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, different things like this, but I did like it mostly because I played Turbo Feed Singing and I really enjoyed Adam Brawley. It's just a lot of fun, and that Wanderer deck I built actually had him in it because he had pretty good use in it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a fun mechanic and adds like a side theme that you got to watch out for. It does suck in a sense because I'm not a big fan of cards usually that don't use will to play free cards, and because especially like say like I hated interactions where I would do something or you would play a card and I would cancel it, and it's like, okay, you obviously misplayed. Obviously I had the will for cancel, you know what deck I'm running, so you misplayed, and so you have 0 will, and then you're able to play a 0 cost thing, and because I tapped all my will to punish you for your misplay, I'm still like feel like I'm on the losing end because you're playing a free card, and you're almost getting rewarded, and some cards actually rewarded you for those types of misplays, and so I always,
Oh no, I misheard what you were about to say. Go ahead.
No, so I'm always worried about cards that are free or close to free, even if it has that incarnation cost. I'd still be a little bit wary, but the incarnation isn't too bad because it gets rid of stuff on your field and replaces it. So as long as there's counter cards in check, especially not Lorite stuff like Kisis Call, it would be a more balanced version of that. Because usually they have enter effects, incarnated things had enter effects, stuff like that to keep them in check. Then I think it'd still be a cool mechanic to see as long as it's kept in check.
Yeah, that was mine. That's one of the ones I thought about.
I know I would like one thing that came to mind that I would like to see that I kind of miss. It would be Force. just because that was such a fun mechanic. And there's like the specifically Millium 2.0 is just stagnant. There's almost nothing more you can do with him. He's at his until you introduce more stuff with Force. He's not going anywhere. You've maximized his potential. And so it'd be cool just from a support way for Wanderer decks, Millium 1 and Millium 2.0. But also Force, I feel like the way Force Will handled the Force mechanic was actually really well, where with the exception of like maybe Dreams of Flight, none of the cards felt like terribly strong, even if you did a high roll and stuff like that. It all felt pretty balanced because it was easy to do stuff. Tiny Drake is super easy to kill. Puss in Boots is easy to kill since his is an enter effect and you could kill him before the roll. Tiny Drake never gains defense on his roll, so he's easy to kill.
Not to mention, I always enjoyed it when you had like. We for those of you who haven't seen, we've been doing a lot of Wanderer games, so this has been going up here recently. We had one last week and it seemed to be pretty well received, which I thought I was pretty happy about. We had a new method of showing cards as we played them. If you haven't seen it, go check it out and let us know what you think of that, please. And anyways, in one of those games or in a game coming up, you do throw down a Fire Drake and then like swing with it and roll your die. And it's like a 1. I'm always like, oh yeah, I like Force mechanic too. There you go, swing for 2. Boom, boom.
Yeah, no, it's and Million 2.0 obviously flipping him and rolling 20 dice or whatever is always satisfying. But it's like simple things like Dreams of Flight obviously was a genuinely good card, and it gave plus or minus not plus or minus, but it gave okay effects to really good effects based on the roll. But I just felt it was like a nice like dynamic element to the game. So you play a card and you're like, oh, this could go pretty good or pretty bad, and there's always that tension of like roll and you're like, oh woo, and it wasn't like Pokemon where if you roll a certain way it's like, well, I just don't get to play this turn because my Pokemon's asleep and I have no way to flip him out of the front position. So that's fun, I guess. And I roll tails, so my opponent, whose deck is literally complete crap, is just winning because I'm bad at flipping a coin. So it's not that kind of thing, which I thought was handled. One of the reasons I felt was handled was so. Yeah, I would like to see Force again.
Yeah, and speaking of like Pokemon flipping coins, Colin got almost bought a Detective Pikachu box this weekend, but he ended up getting the coin. You have it in your pocket.
Yeah. I almost bought them. Maybe I'll buy them a little bit later, but I'm pretty excited for Detective Pikachu. So, but I saw that usually they come with these plastic coins. And I was like, I kind of want one of those plastic coins. And we were at a Pokemaniacs, which is a Pokemon shop in the mall, which apparently carries Magic the Gathering also, and some little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! It was weird, but mostly Pokemon. But they sell some of the stuff from those things individually, and so one of the packs come with a metal coin. Look at that! Focus on it. It's not focusing on it. Maybe I'm too close, but it's a metal coin. See, and then you flip to the other side. Got the Detective Pikachu hat, and I thought that was super cool. It's a metal Pokemon coin, and so I'm going to use that sometimes for Energize and stuff like that. Here, I'll let you guys hear it. That was metal. So I was pretty excited about that. Super cool looking. I can do blue Energize and light Energize.
But yeah, I think the last thing we were going to discuss was Crypto Spells using forceful images. Those not familiar, Crypto Spells is a card game in Japan that uses something called blockchain, which I'm not familiar with. It has something to do with cryptocurrency and mining I don't know. Anyways, the point is it's a Japanese kind of card game that's going to be digital only. And the IP of Force Will being owned by a separate company, not actually tied to the Force Will card game, whose director is Eiji, has managed to get this artwork into the card game. And so it's very, very interesting, just scrolling through and seeing a lot of the artwork being used by this other card game, which, if I can remember, I'll throw the link in the description below, but there's a possibility I'll forget this one. But the link is pprct.net, and then just go to Crypto Spells card list. You can actually see their entire card list database of what they're using for each of their cards. They used quite a bit of Force of Will, which is interesting. But I thought it was funny.
It was super weird. Oscar was saying this. It's super weird just seeing these Force of Will art on a different card. It was just like, it looked different. It was like, that doesn't look right. It looks weird.
And I thought there'd be some sort of like, maybe, I don't want to say rule or regulation because that sounds too much, but some sort of maybe thing where it's like, okay, use your artwork, but only use from this point onwards, not anything more current, because the current stuff could confuse people or something like that. But no, they had stuff from New Valhalla already in there, which that was pretty cool, crazy, and weird.
They had pandas in there.
I don't even know how to think of.
They had Grim. Yeah.
But they also, I think, at the same time with that database going up, released a beta, so you can actually play the game on beta if you go to their website, which I think is just cryptospells.com.
It's only Japanese though, right?
Yeah, it's only in Japanese, but you can actually log in and attempt to navigate the menus. I think if somebody made a guide of what each button meant, I think anybody can honestly just go in there and start playing it already. I managed to get in there, and like they give you 50 of the currency immediately, which you can turn into cards at random. Like it's randomized cards they gift you, and then the rest of your currency you earn for every game you play or every game you win. I forget how it's worded. Yeah,
that's interesting.
They also, they released a poll on Twitter. They're trying to get everybody's like opinion. Again, all Japanese and geared towards them. But I'm watching it. I'm like looking, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think of the game? Should we answer those polls?" Like option 1 is like, "The beta is cool. Thank you for letting me play it," or polish the game out more before you even release it. And then like other, and they want you to comment. And like I clicked the poll to say the beta was cool, and then like the majority of the options like. I think it's over like 60-70% had voted for get the game finished before you release it. I was like, ooh, people don't like betas in Japan? That's interesting.
Well, to be fair, on the whole, betas are super dumb. It's something that has always been done internally in companies, and then companies realize, hey, wait, we can get the public to do this. Not only for free, because usually they would have to pay someone to test it, but they would pay us to play the beta. Okay, and so some places do it good because they need to genuinely stress test and all that, which you can never do internally, and all that. And that's why you see like, oh, early access beta for 5 days or whatever for some games do, and then it closes again. And it's just them stress testing the servers essentially.
I mean, I'd agree that some places do it bad. Like a video game, for instance, is PUBG had their beta and they're still selling it at $20, and it's like game's fully released, it's still $20. And people who were in beta didn't get anything different. Yeah, and
did Daisy ever leave beta?
Yeah, I think they finally got out. It was, and more recently they got out, but. No, it's interesting, like, to see how people do it. I always thought it was an advertising thing. It was just purely advertising to build hype on it, exclusivity in the game.
Kind of, yeah. It's hit or miss with that, because then you also, the hype dies down by the time you actually finish the game and put it out. Everyone's like, oh, we're kind of over that, because you timed it wrong and you spent so much time in beta. That you're never going to see the full numbers that you would have actually seen, because people are turned off by the crappy beta, and so by the time the real game comes out, everyone's already briefly tried it, seen their friend tried it, seen it on Twitch, and they're kind of over it at that point. So it's sort of it depends on how it's handled and how well they do it. I don't know how well PUBG was. I came in right when the beta ended and it was fully released, so
yeah.
I was there like the day before the full game came out, and I still got the T-shirt for being like in-game T-shirt for being there before in the beta. But yeah, so I'm curious to see how that goes. I won't play it, but it'd be interesting to see what other people do.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we might. I'm trying to think of what other games. Like I said, I'm going to be doing the Caster Chronicles, at least one video per week once it comes out. I'm going to try and look into some stuff for that. I'm finally getting back to having free time this upcoming week, but we'll have that. We'll have some videos probably for Argent Saga coming out that Oscar will be doing for this channel. What was it? I don't know if we'll do Transformers or not. We'll see where the wind takes us.
Well,
I don't
I
know
think
if that'll
we
be
will.
something we just do for fun personally, or if we'll
Well, I think we'll
it.
do like gameplay here and there because the Lee, who is the person who works with us now, that's from our LGS. I actually talked to him about recording video because he has, like I said, he bought like probably 3 booster boxes of each set, and so he has tons of cards. So I'm like, dude, since you have all the cards and I don't have to invest in this, we should just like build some decks and like play with them and we could record some videos. So he sounded like he was down with that. So that kind of be like our avenue for that, maybe like a video here and there.
Yeah, and we'll probably do a couple. I want to go revisit and do a couple more videos for Keyforge and actually play it correctly. So and see how that goes.
We struggled with that. Like, I don't know if you guys understood. Like, I
don't know why we did.
We addressed it several times when we were recording those videos in our podcast around that time, but we messed up too many times. And we want to reapproach that. New set coming up soon. Looks like.
Yeah, and I'll pick up some of that. Maybe I'll pick up some of that with I'm having a big order come in for Caster Chronicles. Maybe I'll from that same person I'll get some of the Keyforge. Oh, there goes my computer. Decided it was tired. Maybe some other stuff so we can get a nice variety. We should have a day, because Oscar, I don't know if Oscar as much as me, I've been slowly stocking up on whenever our local game store is like, oh, this card game is basically dead for us. Pick up a booster box or starter deck for like $2 or $5 or whatever. And I'm back, okay, bunk. And I have this pile of unopened like starter decks from like 6 different card games. What do I have them from? I don't even know.
Vanguard, I know it's one of them. We have
Vanguard. That dragon one.
Yeah, with the dice.
Yeah.
Dragonborn.
I think. Oh, yeah, Dragonborn. I think Final Fantasy, maybe.
Luck and Logic.
I know. Super.
I know, yeah. I know people are going to hate hearing us say
or no, old Dragon Ball.
But Dragon Ball Super, no, it was that. It was our store, I guess the scene died, so they sold all their product at like $2 to $3 per like starter deck. It was crazy cheap.
I think it'd be fun to do like a big old, just like long video of like, let's just go through these and play them. I'm not gonna play and pull it correctly, but just like maybe we'll stream it live, and so people can get mad at us live. But I think it'd be fun to like one day do that. I also want to do another live stream.
Yeah, we haven't done a live stream in a while. I don't know how many of you are still with us right now, but do y'all miss those? Do you want one? We haven't done it in a while. It went well every time we did it.
Yeah. Probably do maybe now that time's freed up this week or next week, but yeah, we'll wrap it up. We'll continue talking about this random stuff in the mini podcast on Patreon. But yeah,
we'll see ya.
Thanks you guys for tuning in.
Make sure to visit all our links in the description below, and bye.